Well, good morning, top of the morning to you. So today is Sunday. We're going to take a quick look, well, nothing's ever quick here, at this Hammarlund, this SP-600. This is a Super Pro 600. I believe the 600 series is the last of the Super Pro line in their manufacture. So this came out of a garage sale in Kansas City with two other Super Pros. There was a whole rack of Super Pros, and I think that was about $250 worth, plus the joy of heaving all that junk out of the basement. Actually, what we did was we took all the stuff out of the racks and moved it out, and then moved the rack. So the rack is sitting out back, being covered up right now, and we're going to take a look at the 600. So the Super Pro 600 is a pretty basic unit. There's a lot of just good features that you'd find in any shortwave radio. The power is part of the RF gain here, right there. And there's band, they call it band change or the band range. Two things happen when you move the band knob here. First off, it isn't just a quick click. It's quite a number of turns. It's about a whole turn. There's a little cursor here that moves up. I don't know if you can see it. If I move it up a few places, you'll start to appear. And then in the window here, it shows you the band range. The actual tuning is done over here, and that shows up here. And it also shows up here, so this is kind of the fine tuning, and this is more coarse here. The audio gain is right here. There is the metering is here, the RF input, and then audio output, and that is changed by this toggle switch, which is kind of a spring-loaded switch. There's a headphone jack on this particular unit. There's a transmit receive here, or kind of a standby if you want to call it that. There's manual and automatic volume control here. There's a bandwidth selector here, and the first three ranges are kind of passive controlled, and then the rest of them are crystal filtered. And then there's a phasing control here. And what else do we got? We got, it says modulation CW. This basically turns the BFO on. And I can't remember what that switch is right off the back. Oh, that's the, I'm sorry. This is the limiter on and off. And this is the automatic volume control manual here. The BFO is right here, and on this variation of the SP-600 there's a little frequency controlled oscillator that runs off of crystals, and you can either run the thing off the variable BFO here, or you can run it and switch it into the crystals, and there's like a slot for 5 or 6 crystals. There's a little tag here to label it, and then there's a little cap here to kind of muscle the crystal. It's a very fine tuning around. And that's so much for the front, and then the handy rack mounting, and then the probably 60 pounds that hangs off the back there. So my plan is to fire this up. We're just giving this a kind of a cursory look. One problem we have to overcome is the audio out impedance for the SP-600 is not 8 ohms or 4 ohms, it's 600 ohms, so we have a little problem here. We'll have to overcome that. Let's take a quick look at the top and down on the guts, and we'll have to kind of go to action cam to see that. So we'll catch up with you here in a second. This is kind of the top down look here. The line cord seems in pretty good shape. I don't think this is the original line cord. I think it's been replaced. So the RF strip is here. This actually has 2 stages of gain, RF gain, and local oscillator. Let's see, this is all the IF stuff over here. Audio is kind of across the back. Power supply is over here. Here's that crystal controlled R or VFO, and then the RF tuning and guts is all hidden in here, and then there's a little sidecar. I believe this is called the T1 sidecar. So there's not a lot to see up here. This has been cleaned a little bit. You can see the rub marks here, and it's also been modified. Many of the SP600s have a balanced coaxial input. This one has been modified, and a lot of them have a little elbow here so that the jack comes in the back. And let's see, if I've eaten enough Post Toasties for breakfast, we'll have to flip this on its side and look around on the bottom. There's a lot of nasty old caps in here that really need to be replaced, and somebody's been tinkering around in here. This goes under there like that, and well, that's the idea anyway. Well, that's probably why somebody's been in here dinking around. Okay, there, that's interesting. That lid isn't on all the way. It isn't on at all. And there is, I noticed this, there's a problem. There's 2 screws missing here. And I was looking down in there, and you can't see anything for this screw to thread into. And what looks like happened is there is some kind of a, I'm going to say a bar or a bracket that mounts here, and you can just see this hole here, and that's gone. I don't know why someone took that out. So the only way you could get that out of there is someone's had this RF deck up at one time. That's a kind of a formidable task, and we'll have to do that. At least I'll have to do that. If you want to come over and help, or be supportive down here, it would probably be a good thing. Okay, let me flip this. Well, let's see what's on the back here. So we're just kind of looking at it from the back. There's power. One fuse is a mains fuse. The other is the center tap of the high voltage transformer. This is kind of an accessory jack. This is a place for some spare fuses. And the audio is here with some other goodies. So there's a automatic voltage or volume control, excuse me. The audio is down here. This, like I said, is 600 ohms. There's an IF out, and there's some metering adjustment, or some adjustments here. Okay, so we're getting ready to fire up here. One of the things we have to do is get the audio straightened up. This other speaker over here is only rated at 4 ohms, so the impedance is way too low. You could do that, the audio will sound terrible, and it probably puts a strain on the audio section. So I spent real cash money and obtained this transformer. This is 4 or 8 ohm on this side to 600 ohm on this side. I'm not sure what the mix of wires and lugs are. I don't know. That's just the way it is. So we're just going to hook that up. And we'll just set it there. And we'll plug this in and hook the other leads. Set this up and then fire this up. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn the volume almost all the way up. We'll adjust the bands down to the broadcast band. Here in town we've got 20 kilowatt AM broadcast station, so anything short of a marble should be able to pick that up. And I've got the Variac over here, and it's set pretty low, so we're just kind of bringing this up careful, looking for any flames, that type of thing. And the old owner told me that this worked, and he said he had used it a few days before he had sold it. So we're on modulation here, and we're on automatic gain. That takes that out of the equation. Okay, so there are some lights in here. We should see some lights coming up, so just go ahead and turn the RF gain all the way up. And we'll tune to the local station, which ought to be roughly about here. So nothing is happening here. So my Variac, I've got a little voltmeter, current meter set up that monitors that. And we're just kind of watching here. So the lighting is starting to light up here. And we'll just keep slowly raising the voltage here every so often. We're hoping to hear a little crackle or a pop, or just actually hopefully the station will just get tuned in and demodulated here. So the SP-600 covers from the edge of the bottom of the broadcast, which is 0.5 kilohertz, or excuse me, 0.5 megahertz. I was gonna say that's really good. This actually goes. This unit goes up into above the shortwave band into the top end is 50 some megahertz. So we haven't heard a thing here. And I've kind of looked at the controls, where most of the controls feel pretty good on this. This one is bent a tiny bit. I noticed it. I don't know if it got bonked or hit, or maybe the control is on there wrong. Up.
Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now here is Paul to find out how to be financially tuned.
So it's Sunday morning. I mean, all we're going to run into is probably sports, news, religion, and then goofy public service type stuff. So it appears to run.
For me. Well, I don't know.
And we're only at about 80 volts on the input, so we'll just let it kind of sit there and percolate a little bit.
I'm excited.
I don't know if we can hear anything on any of the bands. We can go up by 10 megahertz, see what there is bumping around there.
Acompañaron a autoridades y familiares de las víctimas en la marcha, cortando focos en beneficio de 27 kilómetros.
I don't know what that is. Having the analog dialing, it's a little tough to tell. It's just a little bit below 12 megahertz. So I'm just looking for something familiar here. Good old WWV would be up near here.
I say unto you, we fall into the ground and die. Get a fighter.
Well, looks like this dial is apparently off quite a bit. Not to be surprised. Let's see what else we can find.
When did peace?
Hallelujah to God, and I'll tell you, praise God. And
I warned you. It's either public service or sports or religion. I could go right out near the amateur band, see if the hams are awake. So I've just been slowly creeping the mains power voltage up on this. That appears to be WWV at 5 megahertz, but it's again off on the dial quite a ways.
Your attention please. Commencing on October 31st, 2018, the National Weather Service will no longer provide radio stations WWV and WWVH with marine storm warning announcements. The marine storm warnings normally broadcasted by WWV on Wednesday, 9 and 10, and by WWV on storm warnings 50 and 51. Will be discontinued on October 31st, 2018. Comments or questions about this change should be directed to the National Weather Service via email at marine.weather@noaa.gov.
Well, so whatever that was, don't forget to complain to the National Weather Service about it. Well, so it looks like we have a runner now. Just because it runs doesn't mean it doesn't need a little preventive maintenance. So we've got quite a few of these little paper caps to get rid of. We need to get this up. There's probably about 5 major areas. This radio has a lot of capacitors in it. So one area is this RF deck, the T1 pod, and then number 3 is the IF strip, and then underneath the radio is kind of 4 and 5. So those are the major areas, and we'll need to do all that. Just up in the RF deck alone, there's 20 some capacitors. This is especially annoying here. There's only one cap under there, but a lot of work will have to be done to get it up. Oh, I left out a part. I've already started a little work here. The frequency, this crystal control module is already out of there. That only has 2 caps. But again, a lot of things have to happen just to dig into this stuff. So once you start digging, you better keep on going. You may want to remove the side of this radio. That could be a little challenging. This one has been taken off and somebody didn't put some screws back on. So along the way, we'll have to put the hardware back the way it was from the factory. Okay, well, in the next next video, we'll start tearing this up and get up under there. So until then, as always, thanks for stopping by and have a groovy day.